for higher GC News, Mima Ubibia Kwaba, Hadia, latest and hot news, and Kwa Aramede Bremo. And so when you subscribe to channel, idea, but what you say, will subscribe. You'll be on say, will click the subscribe button. Now, wabeli a notification. We understand video for be upload. No, also once a can be. Afi we are now like video give us a thumbs up na afi share ma wo foforo so na when you be here na wo hu ensemo a ekoso e wo Ghana memu hanum afi yenti eye sansemu ya ababetuja yenti sa report.
So there is nothing wrong with exploring the civil angle where we will take money and not proceed with a criminal prosecution, but naturally it has to be an eclectic approach. When we say eclectic, mosaic approach, so different colors. You cannot say leave all of them, just do recovery and allow all of them to go. No, in that case, the issue of impunity you've mentioned will fester too much. So you prosecute some, then you negotiate with others. So you go with this and that mixed approach, mosaic or eclectic. That's the way to go. But let's look at the Saudi example. You see how Bin Salman got over 100 billion from the oligarchs by negotiating with them in a hotel. We should be looking at it. And of course, bringing a lot of
but
law
let me ask you this direct question. With the oral preparatory team, have you had anybody come to you with the loot that they have taken away? That, look, you know what, I don't want any trouble, so you take the money quietly.
Okay, so you know that from our mandate, we are preparatory. So being preparatory, our mandate doesn't involve actual recovery of the loot. That will be in the second stage. Okay. But at least there are examples of people who say they are returning. Do you remember the example of the NIB boss who says, okay, you know, yesterday we went to the Agric Extension land around
the NDA, the National Northern Development Authority?
This one, NIB, National Investigative Bureau. Okay. Former BNI, yes. The boss. Yeah, he said, you know, because of the advocacy Okudzeto was doing on it, and he just called Okudzeto and said, listen, at least that's what Honorable Okudzeto said. He said, I'm returning my land. I'm no longer interested. Leave me out of this. Yesterday we went to that place. Then,
so he's returned the land that...
Yes, he says he's no longer interested. NIB boss, Atubra. I know Atubra a bit personally. Yeah, that's what Honorable Okudzeto said. That Atubra says he's no longer interested in the land. Yesterday we visited that land. Yesterday we went to that place. We went to Labadi where the Blay brothers have taken the land from the Labadi beach. Then we also went to NDA. NDA too, oh, they are taking their land, selling.
Oh, but the CEO says that they haven't encroached on any land.
Which one?
The Northern Development Authority.
Oh, yes, I went there. Oh, I have pictures on my phone. Hey.
I saw you. That's why I'm asking you.
He says, when you go there, you see fresh walls. In the last 1 week, they were building day and night. They've cut a lot of the land. I know the NDA office in Accra, that's why we did the Constitutional Review Commission sittings, etc. Yeah, they've parceled it. Listen, even at one point, there's no space between the building and the wall. I'm telling you, you can send your cameras there, or you will see. At one part of the building, there is no space between the building and the wall. You will see that, which is against the building code. So I'm like, how can you even sell that? You sell so much and sell illegally. Of course, the whole transaction itself, we see it as illegal. Then they've gone extra, so quadruple illegal. There's no space between the building and the wall. That's against the building code, right? Yes. So that's one example. So we visited the Agric Extension land. We've seen a lot of it. You see the loot, how they were destroying government documents, the buildings. Well, they've parceled it out. But thankfully, since they've not started construction, that's one place that hopefully will be recovering a lot of the loot. Another, so you can see, you know, we get whispers, as I said. So with time, I'm sure when we enter the stage 2, which will be the actual recovery, there will be more people coming up to offer what they've looted. Yes, because the main thing, as we said, we need a reset mind for the reset itself, a reset mindset for the reset itself, so that, you know, if you continue to do the same things, you are not likely to get different results. Is that not what is attributed to Einstein? That it is insanity to do the same things and expect what different results. So let's be looking at this recovery thing. Fortunately, you see, it's in our law. The only problem is that, so if you look, it's in the OSP Act, right? where you can offer to do a plea bargaining, and also generally we've brought it into our laws, plea bargaining, right? So you offer that, you do restitution to the state, and then you get a lighter punishment. But the downside of it is that some people don't want a conviction at all. Some people don't want that tag of a conviction.
Okay.
So sometimes if you look at the value of the loot and it's worth it, what is it about a conviction? I know, as a lawyer, I appreciate it. But where, let's say, somebody will bring you $50 million, and that's in the context of the Ghanaian economy, $50 million. Then you say, no, I don't want $50 million. I want you to be convicted in court. I want you to plead guilty in court so that you be called a convict. And then I'll take the 50 million. No. It doesn't, add up. So we have to look at our economic circumstances and then see that where the loot is huge and can turn our fortunes around, those places we can do the civil approach, recover it, and then at least help the economy. Because right now, don't forget, self-preservation is the first human instinct. Self-preservation is the first human instinct. So where you are hungry, would you be, and there is food, you insist that no, somebody has stolen the food that belongs to all of us. We are hungry now. Then you insist that we want to convict him in a court of law. We want to embarrass him before we collect the food. How?
Well, you see, as you indicated, that's your personal opinion, you know, because I also hold a personal opinion, which is different from what you're saying, you know, because then again, we've gone on this path before, as you indicated. People have stolen and they have returned the money quietly. We didn't make noise about it. And some will also argue that that's why it's encouraging others to steal, because they know that after a certain period, they can recover, they just return a portion of it and say, you know, this is how much I've stolen, take it. How do you even authenticate that the $50 million the person is returning is actually what the person looted, but not more? You know, so we can go on and on about this.
Sorry. I'm just showing where to find the law also. Look at Article 41F of our Constitution.
41G.
41F.
F says to protect and preserve.
Martin was referring to OSP laws, but the Constitution itself gives us a right to go to court to retrieve any loot.
Okay.
41F, as part of enjoyment of rights and freedoms and also obligations. And you go there, it says to protect and preserve public property and expose and combat misuse and even waste of public funds and property.
I see.
So that is the main law that gives us the capacity.
All right.
Prof, go on.
Okay, so
thank you.
As usual, but this
Prof,
time, let me copy Martin Kpebu a little. Alfred, I'm not answering your question now, but you see, in academia, you earn your promotion by hard work, okay? What we do is we do a lot of research, and then you publish your research in outlets, internationally reputable journals and all that. Now, to be able to get a paper published in a journal, it would have to be peer-reviewed. The idea of peer review is just about the paper that you have written being anonymized and being sent to people who are experts in that area to review what you have written, to tell you whether what you've written is nonsense or what you've written is good and must be published. So before coming here last dawn, I received a paper that I was told to review and recommend whether it has to be published or it doesn't have to be published. And then the editor of the journal, a journal in the UK, said that we've sent this paper to you to review because you have done extensive work in that area and you are an expert and also an authority in that area. And so I looked at the paper and then I was trying to see if I could salvage it, if I could see something good about it. But I had to criticize and criticize and criticize. Even when I want to comment, but there was nothing worth commenting about it. So I recommended the rejection of that paper.
Right.
Before coming here. Now, the NPP government under Akufo or after Akufo was touted with a cliche that as for the NPP, they know how to govern, but they don't know how to win elections. They know how to govern, but they don't know how to win elections. And look, I still have an admiration for Akufo, even though I was disappointed with the fact that he refused to stay as a statesman and indulge himself in unnecessary partisan politics without even reading to be able to foretell that the election of 2024 was going to be a disaster for the NPP. He couldn't do that, but I still respect him. But generally, under government, in his term of government, he governed such that even though some people disagree, there was a cliche that the NPP knows how to govern very well. But when it comes to winning elections, they don't know how to do it. NDC, they know how to win elections, but when it comes to governing, they also don't know how to govern. But the history of governance under Mr. Akufo Addo has shown that the NPP doesn't know how to govern at all. The history of governance under Mr. Akufo Addo has shown that when it comes to governance, NPP is very incompetent.
Wow, why do you say that?
And so, well, you let me finish. By the time I'm done, you would understand. And so, why do I say that? Compare all the indicators, okay, governance indicators. Winner takes all politics. I'm talking about that practice of state capture and partisan monopolization of power, authority, resources, and everything surrounding power by a ruling party, the president and his cronies, to the exclusion and marginalization of all other Ghanaians. That's winner takes all politics. Didn't we see it in its worst form under Akufo Addo? The only thing he could do was to make Edward Nasegri Mahama an ambassador at large, just to silence him, just to kill his political ambition. Beyond that, what did he do in trying to reach out to bring more? That's one governance indicator. Look at corruption. Look at all the indicators, indices, how he governed. The fact that he could command chiefs to be getting up to be greeting him. Who are you? So, in terms of governance, you see, when we talk about governance, steering affairs of the state, good governance, efficient and effective management of scarce state resources such that it translates into developmental outcome that can tangibly be reflected in the lives of people. That's good governance. Did he do that? All he did was presidential gaslighting, telling people that things are well, but things are not well. I've done well in constructing Agenda 111. Where are the hospitals? You go around, you can't see. One district, one factory. People are always looking for jobs. You go there, factories are not working. There are no factories. Those that are there, they are merely a facade. So in terms of governance, the NPP doesn't know how to govern at all. And I'm saying this because the history of governance under President Akufo Addo has shown this. So, in my view, the relevance of the NPP now won't lie in its failed officials forcing themselves to quickly criticize the administration of John Mahama when they themselves, they don't know how to govern. You see, they brought me the paper to review, and I rejected that paper because they themselves, they said that you are an authority in this area. So you will be able to critique the administration and the governance style of John Mahama when you yourself, you know how to govern. But when clearly you have shown that you have no idea, you have no clue when it comes to governance, then respectfully, you must keep mute. And especially when your own party is in tatters, risking disintegration. Focus on how you are going to be rescuing the soul of your party and leave that job of offering criticisms to CSOs and to some of us. For some of us, we have permanent interests in Ghana. We don't have permanent friends. And so just as we criticize President Akufo Addo, I do not have any cause to believe that, or to be scared that President Mahama would betray the trust of Ghanaians. I don't think he will do that. But in the most unlikely event that he derails, we would bring him back on track through constructive criticism. And so, dear NPP people, your relevance would not lie in your very failed officials' attempt to quickly offer unnecessary criticisms to an administration that is less than a week old. Suddenly you found your voice. You want to criticize. But do you know how to govern? You do not even have a clue when it comes to governance. And so on what basis are you going to be criticizing? Just keep quiet. Focus on your party that is in tatters, that is risking disintegration. Rescue the soul of the party. Rid the party of all remnants of Akufo Addoism, and make sure that the party is restored to its tradition to become viable in some future elections. We need, Ghana is not it's a multi-party democracy, and so we need a viable opposition. As it stands now, your party is not viable, and you have to focus on how to rebuild it, how to marginalize and relegate to the background Nana Akufo-Addo and his remnants, just for the purposes of restoring the party to its tradition. Do this first. And if you have done this and the party is standing on its feet, then you can also learn the rudiment of governing a country by looking at how John Mahama is going to work to restore hope and confidence of the people. Once you've been able to learn that, then you will be better placed to be able to offer some criticism, against the government. But for now, remain quiet and focus on rebuilding your party.
Well, William Yamwa, who is a member of the committee that has been set up by the NPP, is saying that the likes of you, general public, including yourself, party faithful, sympathizers, you should all bring ideas. In fact, give them information on the factors that influence the loss at the 2024 election. So, well, that's what you.
Well, he's invited. Well, see, now they can invite. But when we were talking to them, they were not listening. Well, we spoke to them about how they had destroyed their party, the way Mr. Akufo Addo truncated the party's tradition of leadership selection. Okay? NPP has a leadership selection process that would tell you people to bid their time. From here, it goes here. From here, it goes there, and all that. You allowed one man to hijack the party and silence all of you, made you all of you timid. Now people are talking. NPP people, they call you on the quiet and say, hey, what you are saying is true, and all that. Now they are calling us that we should come and give advice. When we were advising them, were they not sending people to be insulting us and all that? We won't give them any advice.
Well, you have said it. What you have done, the diagnosis you did right now, is what they are calling on you to do. So what you are saying you won't do, you have done. No, but
let me respond to the bit about oral. No.
Yes.
Yeah, but you have to give me.
Yes.
So Martin, you see yeah, okay, thank you. No, let us. You see, Martin, I agree with you. You see, there should be commonsensical approach to everything. Okay, it is only one person. You see. During the Ato Forson ambulance thing, we are told that the people wanted to return the money, and we chose that we want to prosecute him. At the end of the day, the guy was left off the hook by the law, and we didn't get the money.
I hope we'll ask the current attorney.
No. I'm saying we should not use a wholesale approach of this nature.
So my point is that
I think that's what. I think you underscored that point because people made that point.
So my point is that
let's be wholesale.
Let's use a commonsensical approach to this. Yes. If people have stolen the money and they want to bring it, let's collect. But when we collect, we will decide on whether we want to prosecute them again or want to let them go. But my view is that it should never happen that a country that is broke like this, when somebody is returning money, say, wait, don't return. We want. Why? Are you okay? Are you Godfrey-Dami?
Please. Godfrey-Dami was just being immature, very immature.
Okay, the issue is, if the person, and you know what, before I come in to you, Mr. Bawa, just a quick one on this, because the position, yes, if the person returns $50 million, how do you determine that that's the total amount of money the person has looted? I mean, I don't see how that really works, gentlemen. It's different from the Ato Forson case. There was a document quoting a specific amount, so we knew the amount involved. But this one, you are saying somebody comes to you in the quiet and says, "Oh, I'm bringing $50 million back. That's what I looted." How do you determine that that's the full amount? Or we okay because the person is bringing a fraction of what they stole? I don't see how that works. But Mr. Boa.
Good morning to your viewers. Good morning to my colleagues. I think maybe basically the purpose of prosecuting somebody for a wrongdoing, particularly in terms of either embezzlement, misappropriation, whatever it is. One is to ensure that whether it is an asset, whether it's money, whatever that the person took from the state, that you are able to get it back and ensure that it is used for what it was meant for. But also there should be that angle of deterrence, that don't create the impression that seems to suggest that, let me try, if they catch me, I'll send the money, if they don't catch me, I'll take the money away. You know, then you encourage people to go ahead to do more. So there must be a balanced track as to when to do what and how to do it. The example of the ambulance case, the state was obviously going to get money. In any case, that would have gone into the consolidated fund. For all you know, they dug a few boreholes here and there. But as we speak now, per the rulings of the court, those monies have been lost, as it were. And so I think that depending on the situation, the Attorney General should be able to determine the reasonableness of the offer. That I want to give you this. Will that serve the purpose for which you are doing? Because in any case, anybody you take into jail, the state is still spending money anyway on the person. So you need to look at all these things, and I believe there have been examples beyond just the borders of Ghana where things like that have done, and I believe it is on the basis of that the issue of this plea bargain thing was passed in Parliament to ensure that people who know that, look, what I have done is wrong and that I am ready to remedy it by doing XYZ. Then you look at it, that's the first point. The other point is that what Professor Gyamfi said, you know, it sounded good to my ears, so that's okay, because it had to do with the fact that I kept quiet. Don't talk about this. It sounded good to my ears as a member of the NDC. But I've always said that. Which one? When he was talking about the fact that NPP should shut up and then they shouldn't. Okay. It sounded good to my ears anyway. But that being said,
I said they should leave it to us. You criticize because you know how to do it.
I just wanted to make just a comment on that. Okay. I think that, but you see, I see some value in criticisms anyway.
Absolutely.
And usually, even somebody who the fact that I have done something that is bad doesn't mean that I don't know it's bad. So if you're also doing it, I can remind you that I did this, and so on the basis of that, I also do the same. And for me, criticism in itself also tries to let you walk in the narrow path, like Francis Salome's book, you know, walking in the narrow path. So you are able to know that I'm doing something that's not very good, and let me see how I can get it done. And so, for me, the NDC will stand to benefit if people really constructively criticize the party and the government, because that is how we will make. Because see, if you look at the and I agree that, look, it is not just the NDC votes that brought NDC to power in this current election. So it went beyond just the core NDC people who anyway will go and vote for NDC. There were people who voted for NDC because they want to see something different.
Exactly.
Yes, it's something different. So I think that as a democracy, we should still allow people to air their views, vent. Even in the course of venting, you will see something that is beneficial that you can use in improving on whatever you're doing.
But you see, I would advise the NPP not to listen to you, because what you are doing is rather, if they do so, you see, they will take their minds. You see, he's NPP people. He's encouraging you to take your mind off. No, you are not invited. Right. He's he's taking their mind off the need for them to rebuild the party. Okay, you see, he's being mischievous. Don't listen to him because he's trying to. He's trying to prevent them from focusing on rebuilding the party and rescuing it from the claws of cartel. The moment they begin to focus, on outside without looking at what has happened inside, then you cannot strengthen the party.
Thank you.
And so I'm thinking that it is important that the party
they should focus on what Mr. Bauer.
But I'm not taking your time. I'm taking Mr. Bauer's time. Why is he's complaining? And I've not heard.
Thank you.
And so I think that as much as possible, when we let people air out what they feel and how they feel about it, it helps. A typical example is, just a few days ago, I realized that the media space in most of the platforms that I saw anyway, let me not be so conclusive in my statement. You saw that headmasters and chars and what were airing out and saying that let your kids bring food to school. Mm-hmm. I know this because I have a daughter who's in the secondary school, and I know that even though there was this pretense that look all was well, we needed to make sure that these kids had food in the school, to the extent that sometimes you negotiate even with teachers in the school, and say, look, privately I am bringing this thing here. If my daughter comes and says she needs it, can you give this to my daughter? Knowing that if they don't do that, maybe she may end up coming back home very malnourished. You understand what I'm making? But now today I see that people Charles is talking all over the place. It's good, in my opinion, because look,
they are not criticizing. Now they are free. Some burden has been lifted out of them.
So I think that I see some level of people are relief. People are relaxed to talk and do things, and that is how the country must look like. Because look, trust me, all of us seated here, on any day, the number of mistakes we do, we can just easily know that. Look, by virtue of the fact that we are human beings, we will make them. And the only way we can be straightened is the fact that Martin will see and say that, look, Eddie, what you did here was wrong. Or maybe Andy will say that what you said here. Look, in the last parliament that we had this challenge, what do you call it, over majority, they say people who had lost it. Okay. Myself and Andy, you remember? Myself and Andy met. And beyond just all politics, we told ourselves, look, Charlie, we need to handle this parliamentary thing well. Because the way we are doing, it looks like if we are not careful, we are inviting our brothers in the barracks and others to come. Myself and him. Yes. We sat there and had that discussion. Right. He's an NPP man, I'm an NDC man. But we saw some common ground that we could have a discussion.
The way we were throwing mud at each other.
So we had that discussion, myself and him. So
but honorable, you see, I think I'm clarifying something. I'm clarifying something by making the point that nobody has said that there shouldn't be criticism. But I'm saying that you criticize because you have a certain competence and knowledge and expertise in an area. You are criticizing the governance style of government.
I understand.
And you yourself, I understand. You don't know anything about government.
He's governance.
But
so leave it to those of us who know and let us criticize.
The truth of the matter, and you are very right.
He doesn't lie in their mouth.
He who seeks equity must come with clean hands. So I understand that there are some things that basically people may not have the moral right to talk about.
You don't know anything about it. I'm
just saying that.
Are you the host?
I am just saying that. I'm just saying that. For me, as an NDC person, and the fact that we're in government, that I think that the party will benefit if people were to tell us that, look, we are wrong or we are right.
Okay.
Because then we can put in the corrective measures. Look, if Akufo Addo had listened to a lot of things that people said, he may not have gone down as one of the worst presidents we've ever had.
He's the worst. Not
Yes.
one of.
So I mean, I'm not too sure. But myself and you didn't experience anything beyond Rollins. So
Word comparative party.
So the
WORST.
Conclude on your point.
So just the point I'm just trying to make is that as a party, as NDC, we should be open to criticisms, particularly constructive criticisms, and then wherever we think that what people say is right, or maybe it seems to.
Yo, it for Winnie and Sama Abeto. Yep, so Mikao says, so we now subscribe to channel here. Bomodia say we subscribe. As a hadia latest and hot news and Aremeyaw Bremo. After we are now like video, no give us a thumbs up now. Fi share ma Ato Forson now when you be here. Now who and somewhere koso ewo Ghana memuha uso betimi otchere wadwen afaye and somewhere nyina ho ewo comment box ni mu mobati minkabium in my next video.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.